Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video where I have discussed about the unitary and federal states. Right. I've ended about the subsidiary unitarian features of the states, and here I have explained about how come central government have the power and it controls everything in the country. Right. But no matter they have the powerful position, but they're not going to dominate the state government. They were unitary in spirit, though they were working simultaneously, right? All their powers are being defined in the constitutions, clear? So for that, for proving the point that it is enjoying the subsidiary unitarian features, I've explained in the previous video, right? I've explained in fact till single constitution of the center and state, and in fact union government alone can amend most of the constitutional provisions. With this, I try to say that central government is enjoying the powerful positions over everything, clear? So I'm going to continue with that point, and in the meantime, afterwards I'll start with chapter 3, and chapter 3 consisted of parliamentary and presidential form of government, where you people have already done this form of government in the previous class, that is in class 10th. Clear, everyone? That is in the class 10th. You have already covered the topic where we people have we have read about the parliamentary and presidential form of government, yeah? So let me explain you, and this video is in continuation with the previous video, so let me explain you about those points and where we left at the last, right? And then afterwards I'll start with the new chapter. Okay, so let's start now. Okay, the subsidiary unitarian features of the Indian Union of a State. Now, how come we are going to prove? Like, how come there is a evidence? Ki how come central government is powerful? So we're going to start with what? Ki it enjoys the single uniform citizenship. That means, unlike a truly federal constitution, the Constitution of India provide for a single uniform citizenship to all the citizen, irrespective of their areas, domiciles, or regions. Right. Next, then lack of equal representation of the states in the Rajya Sabha. In the Indian Union, the state do not enjoy equality or representation in the union. They get seat in the Rajya Sabha in proportion to their population and as fixed by the constitution. Next, we have single integrated judiciary. The Constitution of India provide for a single integrated judiciary common for the union and the state. The Indian judicial system is a single hierarchical system with the Supreme Court at the top, the High Court in the middle, and the subordinate court at the lower level. Right, everyone? So this way, single integrated judiciary tells us lot many things about our country India and how it's enjoying the subsidiary unitarian features. Clear, everyone? That means common court, and that too in a form of single integrated judiciary. Clear? All the high courts have to follow the rules and regulations. Clear? Now, common all India services. Now, the provision for common all India services like the IAS and IPS for the center and the states is again a unitarian feature of the Indian Constitution. That means the person belonging to the personnel belonging to these services occupy the key administrative post in the state administration as well as the union administration. Now, common election commission. Now, for organizing election to the union parliament as well as to the state legislature, the Constitution of India provides for a single election commission. The president, acting upon the advice of the PM, appoint the chief election commissioner who heads the election commission. If you want to proved that yes, Constitution says we have a unitarian feature, subsidiary unitarian features, so here one more example is that we have a common election commission, and here the chief election commissioner is being appointed by the president, and common election commission is preparing the elections both for state government as well as the central government. Clear? Then we have a common comptroller and auditor general. The president has the power to appoint the comptroller and auditor general of India, right? And what is their work? They verify and check the accounts of union and the state. Clear, children? Next, we have center's power to appoint and remove state government. Now, head of the state's administration is the governor, but the state has a little share in having its governor. The governor of a state is appointed by the president of India, and he holds office during the pleasure of the president. This makes the governor a central representative in the state. So, if you want that central interference in the state, if you see, so you can very well see the governor, though he is the head of the state, right? But governor, the governor is being appointed by the president, right, everyone? Now, next, organized planning and Niti Aayog. Now, Indian Constitution provide for centralized economic system, right? The Niti Aayog, that means the full form is National Institute for Transforming India. Formerly, previously before it was called the Planning Commission, is a central agency. It is headed by the PM. The deputy chairman of the Niti Aayog is always a trusted friend of the PM. It assists the process of formulation of policies, plans, projects, and fixing targets for securing the socio-economic sustainable resources to the state. Basically, they have the objective of accomplishing the socio-economic development in India, right? And this basically Niti Aayog NIOG, the full form is National Institute for Transforming India, headed by the PM. Now, next, now financial superiority of the state. Now, the Constitution of India lays down in detail the financial relation between the center and the state. It provides in detail the allocation of taxes to the center and the state. In doing so, added importance has been given to the center. It has been given a bigger share in revenue. The state are quite dependent upon the center for grant in aid. Means center is always there to help the states out, and if the states need, they can ask for grant from the central government. This all been stated under the constitution. So please don't get confused what do you mean by subsidiary unitarian features over here. Here the constitution has given the power to the central government, but it's not like that the constitution simply want a central government to dominate over every sphere. No, the state government is having its power, the central government is having its power, right? And they're deriving their power from the constitution, and everything is being common, common Supreme Court, common High Court, common Election Commission, clear, and a common organized planning system known by the name of Niti Aayog. Then they have common All India services, right? Then they have common comptroller, auditor general, then financials. Here the central have the domination over finances, clear. So it really reveals us कि yes, common thing is there that is being shared properly among center and state government, that everyone has to follow. No more discrimination, no more domination, clear. So I hope so people have understood, and this way we have ended the chapter 2nd. Chapter 2nd state tells us about the unitary and federal states now, and now I'm going to start with chapter 3. Now chapter 3 means, chapter 3, the name of the chapter is parliamentary and presidential form of government, right everyone? Now what is this government? We have already done in class 10th, right? Parliamentary, where the PM with his council of ministers enjoys the dominant position, and presidential form of government where constitution has given the powerful position to the president. The presidential form of government is usually worked where in USA, the example is, and parliamentary form of government is worked in India and in United Kingdom. So let's see now. Let us be clear about the definition of parliamentary and presidential form of government. So I'm going to start with parliamentary first. Now if you see, on the basis of nature of relationship between the legislature and the executive, two alternative form of government stand identified: the parliamentary form of government and the presidential form of government. Now what is the work of parliamentary? The parliamentary form a close relationship between the legislature and executive, and the direct responsibility of the legislature towards the executives, or executives towards the legislature. Now here legislatures is the parliament, executives are the members, don't get confused. These are two organs of the government, right? On the other hand, the presidential form of government what has a separation of power between the legislatures and the executive, that I am going to explain you later on. So if you see in the parliamentary form of government, legislature, that means the parliament, and executives, the members have to be they have to interact each other. That means members are the part of the parliament, clear everyone? They cannot move separately, right? They are the part and they have to work in coordination, clear. The perfect example is PM with his council of ministers, clear. Now let's start. Now the parliamentary government is named so because it is constituted by those members of the parliament who are in majority. Everyone knows, right? The majority party wins in Lok Sabha and the head is the PM, clear. Now, it is also called responsible government because in it the executive, the ministers are individually and collectively responsible for all their acts before the parliament. Some scholars describe it as a cabinet system of government because in it the real power are exercised by the cabinet. Clear everyone? Another commonly used name for parliamentary form has been the Westminster model of government, since the origin and the growth of such a type of government took place in British political system. I hope so everyone has understood what you mean by the parliamentary form of government. Clear? Now this way two people have understood ki yes, now what is the parliamentary form of government? Now they are being divided into two types. Now parliamentary government is one which the executives has two parts: nominal executive and the real executive. The head of the state is nominal executive and is not responsible. The council of ministers headed by the PM is the real executive and for all its act is collectively responsible before the legislature or the parliament. That means I hope so nominal executive is the president over here, and the real executive, the real head of the nation, is the cabinet ministers, who are the parts of council of ministers and they are headed by under prime minister. Clear, everyone? So I hope so everyone has understood now. If you see here, some scholars describe it as a cabinet system of government. Real executive powers are exercised by the cabinet. Everyone knows. Commonly used name is Westminster model of government. Here, executives has two parts: nominal executives and the real executives. The nominal executives is the head of the state, and the real executives are the council of ministers headed by PM, collectively responsible before the legislature or the parliament. So I hope so people have understood the by the name itself that parliamentary system of government is basically the council of ministers headed by PM, and among the council of ministers, who is the brain, which part is the brain, that is the cabinet ministers. They enjoys the real position in the government. Clear, everyone? Let's move to another slide. Right. Okay. Okay, now we are coming to the salient features of parliamentary government, right? The one-on-one basis, I'm going to explain you what are the features of the parliamentary form of government. Now, the very first feature states about differences between the nominal and real executives. In a parliamentary government, the executives has two parts, as I've already explained you: the nominal executive, the real executive. The head of the state is the nominal executive. All executive power are vested with him, but he himself does not exercise this. These are in reality exercised by the council of ministers with the PM as its head. It is called the real executive. Next is structure of the real executives. Right now, how come, if you want to, if you want the explanation of the council of ministry, what is that? Now, the structural organization of the council of ministers is of the nature of wheels within wheel. That means the innermost wheel, the real center of power in the office, is of the prime minister. Right, then afterwards, what we have next to it, it is called the cabinet ministers. Clear, everyone? And they hold important portfolios, who hold together, formulate all the policies of the state. Right, it is a real pretty powerful part of the real executives. Clear? And they were the other ministers. If you see, if you go for minister of states and deputy ministers, they were the in charge of small departments or are helpers or deputies to the cabinet ministers. Right, now to come on to third, now close and continuous relationship between the legislature and the executive. In the parliamentary form, the executive is very closely related to the legislature. Executives, that means member, they simply, they are the part of the legislature, that means the parliament. The leader of the majority party in the parliament or the legislature gets appointed as the PM, and all other ministers are also drawn from amongst the member of the majority party in the legislature. Right, and if you see, if a non-member of the legislature is made a minister, he has to secure the membership of either house of the legislature within a fixed period. In case he fails to secure, right, he has to leave his membership. Clear? The ministers, along with their headships of executive department, continue to be the member of legislature. So here they just try to say that the ministers are the part of legislature. That means if you see PM, who forms his council in Lok Sabha, right, he has formed his own majority. Clear? And all these members they are the executive members, and they are the part of the parliament. Right? Come on to ministerial responsibility now. The concept of ministerial responsibility is the backbone of a parliamentary government. Responsibility of the executives before the legislature is the fundamental feature. Right, now, how come they were responsible towards each other? Now, how come minister is responsible? The responsibility of the ministers towards the head of the state is legally all ministers are the advisors to the head of the state. Clear, everyone? Next, each minister is individually responsible for the activity of the department. Right, he is answerable before the legislature for his activity, decisions and actions. If anything goes wrong in the working of his department, he has to explain the same to the legislature or parliament. In case the legislature feels dissatisfied, they can pass a censure motion against him. Right, or else if a legislature passes a cut motion in respect of his salary, it is also taken to be a vote of confidence against him. So if we have seen how parliament exercises the control over its executives by passing different motions. So all these things we have covered in class 10th. Right, now next, our collective responsibility of the council of ministers. Now, the ministers, that council of ministers as a whole, is responsible to the legislature. It is responsible of the cabinet to get all its policies, program, decisions and bill approved by the legislature. In case the legislature rejects any policy of the cabinet, or rejects the budget prepared by it, or rejects a bill sponsored by the cabinet, it is taken to be a vote of no confidence. Right, so here the cabinet ministers, obviously there's a part of council of ministers have to be very, very careful. Clear? Because opposition party sets, right, and they can very easily pass the no confidence motion. Clear, everyone? So whenever the legislature may deems fit, they can pass a direct vote of no confidence against the council of ministers or the PM, and the entire ministry has to resign. The ministers swim and sink as a team. All the ministers have to collectively defend the policies and decisions of cabinet. Clear. Next, non-fixed tenure of real executive. The Council of Ministers remain in office as long as it enjoys the confidence of majority in the legislature. It can be removed from office at any time by the legislature, usually by the lower and popular house of legislature, by passing a vote of no confidence. The ministry remain in office only so long as it enjoys the confidence of the people expressed through their legislature. So here, the ministry working under PM, they have a very big responsibilities towards people also and towards the president as well. Now here, next point, prime minister, if you see towards the head of the state now, if you see individually collectively responsible, right? Let's move on to another features now. The prime minister is the head of the government. So as a leader of the majority party, the national leader, and as the real executive head, the PM enjoys a position of preeminence in a parliamentary system. His house is the most powerful office, right? The head of the state always acts according to the advice of the minister. Head of the state here is the president. Next, very strong position of the PM. Now the PM is a real center of power and the keystone of entire system, everyone knows. As the head of the government, exercises vast and real executive power. The Council of Ministers work under his leadership. He presides over the meeting of the cabinet. All decisions of the cabinet require his individual approval, otherwise this cannot be adopted. He selects his team of ministers and allocate them their portfolio, and where he distribute the portfolio, he distributed the portfolio among the cabinet ministers. Right. Now next, prime minister, the cabinet can get the legislature dissolved. The cabinet, and in actual practice the PM has a right to advise the head of the state, that is the president, in favor of a dissolution of the legislature, that means dissolution of the parliament. Clear. It can be done by him either for seeking a fresh elections, right, either seeking the support from the public, or for punishing the legislature for their unhelpful attitude. Clear. Now political homogeneity and secrecy of office. Normally all the members of the Council of Ministers form a single political party which holds a majority of seats in the legislature. They are as such bound together by a commitment to a single ideology and program of the party, as committed, as they have committed to the people in the elections, right? Faith in a commonly shared political ideology act as a source of psychological unity among the minister. It also act as a guide for them. Clear. If you see in the parliamentary form of government, the cabinet work as a secret body. Its meetings are secret, the deliberations are kept secret, so are its decisions till these are made public by the PM or by any other minister who is authorized by the cabinet to communicate the decision to the legislature or to the head of the state or to the people at large. Clear. Now next, strong position of the cabinet. Because of the very strong position of the cabinet in the parliamentary system of government, several scholars describing this type of government as a cabinet government. Several others even go to the extent of describing describing a very strong position enjoyed by the cabinet in every parliamentary form of government as cabinet dictatorship. However, this view is not fully valid. No doubt the position of cabinet is very strong, but is neither a dictator nor it behave like a dictator. The cabinet work as a responsible executive. It work under supervision and control of the parliament. So this way we have come to the end of the document, right? End of the video. So I'll be again continuing other things, other features of presidential form of government in my next videos, right? So do listen to the video attentively. Thank you.